everybody. I gotta make sure I stand in front of this. This is the only mic, right? So yeah, well, I'm so honored to be here. Welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming this morning. I see you, everybody online, or I see you. I see you over there on the TV. So thank you for joining us on Zoom for wherever you are. Here we are. So I'm excited to be here today to share. Did you ever hear the? Of course, I know you've heard this. The phrase "for the love of God," right? For the love of God. Do you ever get like you get up, like you just feel overwhelmed with life? You say, "For the love of God," you know. So today I wanted to say, "For the love of oneness," you know, because I think that it's a practice to remember that we are one with each other, one with life, one with all of creation. I like to think of it like if you think about the word universe, right? Universe means universe, one song. And we can remember and recognize that we're one with all of creation, all of life. And one of my favorite quotes is, I've been actually studying the Course in Miracles again this last year. I had about 20 plus years ago, I picked it up and I was reviewing the Course in Miracles. What I love about the Course in Miracles is so simple and so universal and so powerful because it's all about a miracle. But what's the miracle, right? Anyone know the miracle? The miracle is the shift from fear to love. The shift from fear to love is a miracle. Whenever we have that shift from fear to love, it's a miracle. And that's, I picked up this Course in Miracles again this year. Now, I picked it up, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, and I started reading it. I was like, oh my God, this is way too much for me to handle right now. And I couldn't handle it. Like, I was just like too much. I was doing a whole bunch of other things. And but so a friend of mine I was talking with last year said, you may want to check out the Course in Miracles. And I promise you won't tell anybody. I'll tell you why he told me that. I was kind of getting caught up in a lot of separation. I was kind of getting caught up in a lot of us against them thoughts. And I have a really good friend. We went to high school together. And he's like my soul brother. And he kept saying, Mark, you can't think like that. You're a minister. He's like, Mark, you can't, like, you're there. Your organization is called Evoke Peace. You can't be saying us against them, like all the time. And I couldn't get it out of my, I would get so angry and so triggered about some of the things I was seeing in the world. And I kept saying that, those people. And I would catch myself and I would practice, right? I would practice saying, oh, there I go again, And I was bringing self-compassion to myself around that, but I kept doing it. He said, Mark, I think you need to check out the Course in Miracles. And because it's so simple, yet so profound. And it very much ties into science of mind, that what Ernest Holmes in the reading this morning is saying, that we really are all one. And the great masters have seen that, and we're recognizing it again. And in the Course in Miracles I was reading this week, it says, let me remember I am one with God. Let me remember I am one with God. I am one with creation. I'm one with life. The life is in me, working in me, as me, and through me. This love, this God, this presence is always here. And it's working in me, as me, through me right now. Can I remember that? It's easy to forget. Have you noticed anybody? Yeah. I'm not the only one who forgets easy. So, I remember a story like in my own life years ago when I started recognizing that I could actually ask to get reconnected with the sense of oneness. And I was very kind of caught up in my ego quite often and forgetting that sense of oneness. And I had done all kinds of spiritual stuff in my life. I had been to India. I studied with Tibetan monks. I had a guru. I had wonderful, amazing spiritual teachers along the way who helped guide me. And about 17 years ago, 1 week, I ended up getting sober. I was drinking a little too much and doing whatever else a little too much. And my life had gotten really, really out of balance. And at some point, I said I wanted to live a life that worked, because what was going on was I was one of those people that was able to handle it because I was working. I had a trade and I was making money. So one side of me was working, and I was actually in my internship as a Center for Spiritual Living Minister when I got sober. But everything was also fell apart in my internship, right? So everything was falling apart, and I was just, living a crazy life. And one day I said, Mark, you're living in two different worlds. You're over here doing all this spiritual stuff on one side, And the other side of me was doing all this, like, partying like a rock star, and I was way out of balance. Like, but I was kind of justifying it all by saying, oh, you know what? You can get away with this. It's just social. You're just having fun. You were too serious as a young man. You're just having fun, and I had all these excuses of why I could get away with that. But one day when my life really was kind of having some great challenges around all that, I remember I stopped and something in me said, let me remember I'm one with God. And I recognized that if I quiet my mind, I can hear that voice of God. When I quiet my mind, I ask for God's will for my life today. But an interesting thing happened. I tried getting sober for many years before I actually got sober. And I'd done all kinds of spiritual stuff. I'd done meditations. Like I said, I went to Tibet to India where the Tibetan monks lived. I did all this spiritual stuff. None of that kept me sober. But you know what kept me sober? When I finally stopped and I asked the power greater than Mark. When I aligned with that energy and power of oneness of God. When I finally stopped and asked that to help me, to guide me, to show me the way, all of a sudden, this pattern started falling away. But it wasn't until I stopped and asked the power greater than Mark. I know it's hard to believe there's a power greater than Mark in the universe. It's hard to believe, right? But there is. I figured it out the hard way. There's something greater than Mark that is, working on my behalf and everyone's behalf, and if I could just tap into that, if I just give myself permission to stop for a few minutes and align with that vibration of peace, love, and oneness that is already within me, that's already within each of us, you see. And what happened when I did that, when I finally did that, it's almost like the universe conspires, one song conspires to work in our favor. But we have to do the work to get into alignment, to get into that place of oneness. It's like unconditional love, right? There's a love. So when I think of God, I think of love, for the love of God, let me remember I'm one with God. Let me remember I'm one with love, right? Can I remember that? And if I can remember that, I can practice. In this place of oneness, I can share myself, my love, my light in the world in ways that I couldn't if I was so caught up in who I used to be, right? So I asked this power greater than Mark to help me one day. And I remember I was still having some difficulty not wanting to party in the way I used to party or drink in the way I used to drink. I was still having some difficulty, a little bit of an obsession around all that stuff. It was hard for me to let it go. And I guess I was addicted to it, like on some physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. I was addicted to that pattern. And I kept trying to stop it, but I couldn't. But when I finally said, okay, hey, I'm going to ask power greater than Mark. And then all of a sudden, something started shifting in my life. And I remember pretty clearly, it was about a month after I finally made the decision to live a sober life that worked. I was still having difficulty, and I had a wonderful mentor and sponsor who helped me. And he said, if you think you're gonna go down that road again, call me first. If you think you're gonna go drink, call me first before you do that, okay? Whatever time of the day or night, just call me first. I said, okay. So it was a Sunday afternoon after church, after my spiritual community. It was always worse after Sunday because I would always kind of hold it at bay until after Sunday, because that was my internship. I had to look good. I was really good at doing that. But it was always the hardest right after that when I had to go back out, and it was hard for me. So here I am living in Chicago. I live in the third floor flat, a beautiful area called Uptown, really kind of cool, funky area on Broadway in Argyle. And I live on the third floor, and I could see the bar that I used to party at. I could hear the music. I could smell the beer bus. They were cook hot dogs and hamburgers cooking over there that I used to, back in the day, used to eat that stuff. And I wanted to go so bad. I wanted to go over there and do what I used to do. I wanted to go because that's how I had fun. That's how I celebrated my life. How can I not do that anymore? I had all these reasons why I should still be able to do that, even though I knew it wasn't working. But I asked the power greater than Mark to help me. Let me remember I'm one with God. Let me remember I'm one with love and light and truth and wisdom. And I called my sponsor before I went over there. He said, hey, how about this? Why don't we make a plan for dinner, and then we'll go to a meeting. I said, okay, cool. So we made this plan. We go to the meeting, and But before that, I had to get my truck ready because I was in construction at the time, and I had to get my truck ready for Monday morning. So I'm getting my truck ready, and I'm trying to throw all this. I had a lot of garbage from the week before in my truck that I had to clean out and then throw it into the garbage dumpster. And the place where I lived was like there was like 20 units, so they had these big garbage dumpsters like they have in big cities. But on Monday morning, the garbage trucks come, and so by Sunday they're filled to overflowing by everyone's garbage. And so I'm trying to get all this garbage out of my truck and into these garbage cans that are full, and stuffing 2x4s in there and trying to get all this stuff in there. And I'm just, I'm in a cool place, because I surrendered, right? And I'm getting it all in there. And all of a sudden I notice on top of the pile of garbage, there's this plaque. There's a piece of artwork. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's interesting. And I pick it up, I look at it, and I'm like, oh, it's a quote. And so I start reading it, and it said, "And the day came when the risk it took to stay tight inside the flower bud became more painful than the risk it took to blossom."
Wow.
And the day came when the risk it took to stay tight inside the bud became more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And I'm like, oh my God. Right? For the love of oneness. I mean, what are the chances of that being on top of a pile of garbage? That was my life, right? At the time, right? I mean, I'm a little slow learner. It has to be very blatant for me to get it. And I started recognizing as I got sober that this was happening all the time. That I was, universe, one song. The universe is singing to us every day, always, in every way. If I but would hear what it's sharing, what it's saying. And I was covered up by the pattern of my drinking and using to some degrees. Now I wasn't really raging alcoholic, but I had issues, like they were covering me up. I was poisoning myself, literally every week to some degrees. And so I was covered up. And so once I kind of let go of that, everything started opening up, and I started using this prayer of asking God. I could ask. I didn't realize I could ask a power greater than Mark. Go figure. I'd done all the spiritual stuff, and I never asked. In Science of Mind, we have a wonderful teaching, don't we? Very powerful teaching. It says if you affirm the truth, and if you stand in that and you live in that truth, you can start to create that in your life. I knew that. I was doing that, but it wasn't working because I was sabotaging it. Right? And I was doing all these affirmations and all this stuff and all this, I studied the world religion. I did all the spiritual stuff, but that wasn't keeping me sober. I never stopped to ask a power greater than Mark to help me, to guide me, to heal me, And it was in that asking that this became a part of my life, to where I started recognizing that I could use this, that God was using me if I would just but let this presence use me, because I am one with God. Let me remember. I want to emphasize that. Let me remember. Didn't someone say something about forgetting in the reading? Wasn't that the part of your reading? We forget, don't we? Let me remember that I am one with God. That I'm one with love. I think of God as love. I think God is an unconditioned love. A love that has no conditions. And that love is within each of us right now, in this moment. Each of us is fully connected in alignment with this oneness of love of God. Every one of us. It's not just for me, it's for you, it's for everyone. We are one with God, and we are one with each other, no matter where we are on the planet. Right? Look at this beautiful altar you guys created for Ukraine. It's simple and beautiful and powerful to recognize that we can share our love and oneness with the people of Ukraine, right? And someone mentioned and Russia. A lot of people in Russia have been hearing a lot of reports. They don't know really what's going on. And it's needed. It's so important for us, especially those of us. And I think if anyone who's here today, whether you're online or here, we are on a path of living in alignment with oneness. Are we not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are we not practicing this? Right? So how do we do this? Well, it's a practice. I remember I did a talk years ago on understanding unconditional love, understanding God. What is it really? What is God? It's such a, everyone has in this room, if we sat and talked for 20 minutes, each of us, we have a little bit different connotation of what we think it is, and that's okay. But it's an essence, isn't it? It's a quality, it's an essence, it's a sense of oneness, of love, of a true love that has no conditions. Can we love without conditions?
It's hard.
Good try.
I did a talk when I was in Raleigh on unconditional love. It was very powerful, very heartfelt, and I was really into it. Like, I really loved it. I mean, I was like, we can live unconditional love. I was just like, I was in it. I was like, this is unconditional love, and we can all live this way. And I knew it for myself. I knew it for everyone there. And everyone just like loved my share, except for one person. You know, there's always that one person. And he comes up to me afterwards like, Mark, and he had this accent where he was from. He said, Mark, there's no such thing as unconditional love. Everybody has conditions on love. Think about it. Everyone has a condition. If someone doesn't do what you want, you take away your love. That's how you're brought up as a child. Nobody has unconditional love. Everybody has conditional love. I'm like, oh my God, maybe he's right. Well, I just did this whole talk. And that guy was really well. So I thought about it for 3 weeks. And I realized that he may have a point in some degree, because it's a practice. It's a practice to live in unconditional love. It's a grueling daily practice to live in unconditional love. But whatever we practice, what happens when you practice something over and over again? Because part of what else? It becomes easier, right? It becomes easier to live with unconditional love. Even the most hardest people to love, we can practice this. Now, I was listening to Carol Miss this week, and she's powerful. You know Carol Miss?
Yes.
She's in
I
your
love
face.
her.
She's from New York, right?
I think so.
Yeah, she's from New York. She's got this New York kind of like sarcastic. She's in your face. I love her because she's just like, she didn't beat around the bush. You know, I love her. And she says, she's like, I was at breakfast this week, and someone says, do you think that Putin's mother loved him? And she said, I don't know. Something happened, you know, for him to become such a maniac. I mean, really, let's be honest, the guy's a maniac. And this is what we're dealing with today. And like me, and like probably most of us here, all of us here perhaps, we're feeling a sense of rawness right now with what's going on, aren't we? I am. I'm feeling a rawness like I've never felt before. I don't know why. I'm feeling this war so much in my heart, more than any others that I've seen the insanities of our conflicts. Maybe because I'm recognizing more and more that I'm one with all people. And Carolyn Miss said, maybe it's like this. Maybe love is like water. And if somebody was dehydrated, completely dehydrated in the desert, and they were just about to fall over of dehydration, sucked dry of water, right? That if one person would come up to that person and give them a cup of water, that one cup of water would help rehydrate them, would bring vitality back to the body temple. One cup of water. Now, of course, they might need more than one cup of water, right? But that one cup would make a difference, wouldn't it? To bring vitality back to the body temple, right? She said, what if love is like that? And perhaps Putin is dehydrated of this love. And maybe now more than ever, he needs love. Unconditional love. That's challenge. I mean, it's hard for me to even talk about that, to even say that out loud. Now, this is not condoning any bad behavior. This is not at all, on any level, in any way, condoning any bad behavior, right? But maybe, just maybe, instead of weapons of mass destruction, this love is a weapon of mass construction. That was Carol Miss, by the way. I can't steal her quote. That was really good. It was good. Weapons of mass construction. And it is incumbent upon us, those of us who are here today, that we're ready, that we're here, we understand this stuff. We understand that there's one consciousness, one mind, one love, and it's everywhere present. It's in you and it's in me. It's everywhere present. It's more important now than ever for us to share this love. recognizing the oneness of all of us. No one is left out. That's hard to take, but it's the truth, isn't it? Really, it's the truth, isn't it?
Mhm.
And yet, what's needed in Ukraine is this love, you know, and we can take a stand for love. Now, I can't go over there single-handedly. What I can do is I can make individually, one person can make a difference. And Carol Miss said this, she said, one person can make a difference. Right? If Putin was to withdraw, he's the one person that could withdraw from all that, right? And he's the one person that can create all that. And he's got that, for whatever reason, he's got the power to do that right now. It's unfortunate, horrible, and horrifying as that is. But he also has the power to take that. So maybe we can pray and align with love. And know there's a power greater than I am, greater than Mark and you and I, that can work collectively to help to heal, to bring the love, the water, the love to rehydrate the greatest, highest, best possibility, that we can allow then this creative power of love and source to have its way, to work in its way, in a way that's unexpected, that we don't have to figure it out. You see, we can step into this power of love and oneness. You know, the pandemic that we're dealing with. Have you noticed that the pandemic of the COVID, right? It's touched everywhere on the planet, hasn't it? And how quick did that happen? The pandemic happened for us to recognize and to realize we are one.
Yes.
We're one in sickness, but we're one in health and wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we work together, the more wholeness we will have, right?
Yep.
But we have to do this one thing, and that is to quiet our mind, to quiet, to receive God's will for our life today. In quiet, I receive God's will for my life today. You know, we can do that for ourselves, we can do that for each other. So we have to create the space each day to quiet and to align and to remember that I am one with God. I am one with oneness. Right? I am one with love. Yeah? So I want to do a little practice with you all this morning. I brought some Tibetan singing bowls and a little Native American flute today. And I'm just going to spend, how much time do I have? Do I run out of time already?
Yeah, loop it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Loop it.
Loop
Keep
it.
it going.
Keep it going.
Keep it going.
Okay, we're good, okay. I'll loop it.
Keep
What was that song you said? Kick it up. We'll kick it
Yeah.
up. We'll kick it up. We'll kick it up this love, and we're going to send it to the world. Okay? We're going to get quiet. We're going to connect. We're going to remember that I am one with God, that I am one with love. Right? So I'm going to play a little Tibetan singing bowl, a little Native American flute. These are ancient practices, by the way. And then you probably already know this, right? The ancient practices. I was joking around because part of my work today is working with addicts and alcoholics, and I teach spiritual education and recovery. And I always joke around when I do this. I say, this stuff has been around for like 4,000 years, over 4,000. These practices, ancient, way before Xanax, way before all of our ways of numbing, right, and distracting, and you know. So these are ancient practices to help us to align. So let us remember that we are one with God. Just taking a few conscious breaths now. Observing this breath that is breathing us. As we quiet and still our mind, we align in the presence of this love, of this God. Knowing that it is everywhere present right now, in and through all of creation, in and through all of life. And is right here, right now, in and through each one of us, and through me, and through you. Realize that we are a part of all of creation, all of life. Just like Thich Nhat Hanh said in the reading, whether to be a flower, there needs to be the cloud and the rain. For there to be a piece of paper, there needs to be the cloud and the rain. That all is interbeing. All of us are we are all creating and co-creating because we are interbeing. So let's interbe in the vibration of love, oneness, God, light. So as we create some space to quiet and still our mind, we align in the vibration of oneness, of peace, of love, of harmony. We remember the truth of an unconditional love that is already within us, that is always here, within each of us. And through all of creation. As we quiet and still our mind, we align in the vibration of peace. An ancient, ancient peace and love and wisdom that is always here, always within us. It is in all of creation, all sentient beings, all people, all life. Let us remember that we are one with God, one with love. In this quiet space and place, we ask, what is God's will for my life today? What is God's will for my life today? This God that speaks in your own voice, in your own heart. Of a depth of inner wisdom, peace and love, compassion, understanding. As we quiet and still our mind, we align the center of peace, a sanctuary within the center of our own heart, a place of refuge within. Feeling the vibration of peace and oneness right now in our own heart. We now share this in the world as we hear the sound of the Native American flute, like a calling, a sound that ripples around the world. We can share this peace and love, and oneness with all of those in Ukraine, Russia, and even Putin. We may share this love like we could share water to someone who is dehydrated. So in this place of alignment, the oneness, we can now share this love with the world. Saw someone open up their hands like this, but we can open up our hands and allow ourselves to share this peace, this love, this consciousness, this awareness with the world that so desperately needs it. And how about with each other? For all those who've gathered here today in consciousness and Sangha, the spiritual community, you see, we need each other, right? More than ever. So for the love of oneness, let us remember today and every day, it's a practice, right? Not always easy, yeah, but we are one. So go forth, shine your light. The world so desperately needs it. Much love.